Yo, welcome to episode 60 of the Duo Sports and Stuff podcast. My name is Deonte. I'm joined by my ace, my best friend, my guy, Dane. How are you doing, brother?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Pretty good.
Everything going okay in Dallas land?
Yeah, man. Everything's pretty decent in the Big D pause. Just nothing new really. Just just hanging, macking
Well,
and hanging.
it must be going pretty well because our listeners, you can't see us right now, but Dane, I've never seen Dane rep a Cowboys jersey, and if he did, it's been years ago, maybe back in our high school
Yeah.
days. But Dane is repping. Is it a Des Bryant? Is it CD Lamb? Who you got over there, bro?
This is a Sedarian Lamb, a jersey.
he's repping the Lamb nice
This is
white.
chamomile tea, darling. Nah, this is the 88 is so iconic. As you all know, the one Drew Pearson started it all. Passed the
Hall of
torch on
Famer,
to
Hall of Famer now.
Hall of Famer Drew Pearson. My bad. My apologies.
Mm-hmm.
Passed on the torch to the Michael Irvin, and of course, the Michael Irvin passed the torch on, short-lived, of course, to Des Bryant, who then was passed it on to CD Lamb. So I have this jersey on for one particular reason. By the time the folks get to listening to this, it will be game day. It absolutely means nothing wearing it because nobody believes in juju and stuff like that. Nobody believes in superstitions and when it comes to the NFL and stuff like that. But for those my brothers out there in your tinfoil do rags, if you have suspicions you're wearing a jersey on a particular day, or you can't watch the game until right after the coin toss or something like that, and then shout out to you
Yeah,
because that takes a lot of consistency and
yeah,
a lot of organization to maintain. So it is not me, but it is you. If that's your thing, then shout out to you. Whatever works for you.
yeah. As Dane mentioned, the NFL season starts today, Thursday. As you're listening to this episode, we'll talk about the NFL season coming up. But what we do have on deck is previewing or reviewing, should I say, the big weekend of college football that we had. And man, first things first, bro. Usually we get upsets like more towards the beginning, probably during conference play. You might get a non-conference upset every now and then,
Mm-hmm.
but to get week one right off the bat, man, like
Yeah,
I'll go
bro.
through this list from Twitter. Top 25 teams that lost in week one. Number 3, Clemson lost. Of course, that was a crazy game losing to Georgia. A lot of people expected it to be not a
Blowout.
defensive battle.
Or not a
Yeah,
blowout.
not a defensive
Shootout.
battle, but
Shootout,
right,
not a
right, a
blowout. My bad.
shootout. Clemson falling to Georgia. Number 10, North Carolina losing at home or on the road at Virginia Tech in a conference game. Number 12, Wisconsin losing to Penn State. Miami getting blown out by Alabama, and we already know how Alabama is and
Yeah,
how
man.
it's Alabama way up here at the top of the pinnacle, and then everybody else under there, at least, how it looked in week one. And then
Right.
you had LSU losing, number 16, LSU losing to UCLA. Number 17, Indiana getting blown out by Iowa. Number 20, Washington losing to FCS Montana. I know, Dan, you rep hard for the FCS boys with your
Yeah, bro.
Sam
There was
crew.
like 5 FCS, or I wouldn't say
Yeah,
they were upsets, but there are 5 different FCS teams, if I'm not mistaken, that beat FBS teams. So
yeah. And
that was
the way
huge.
And the way you put it was great because, a lot of people see it as upsets. Like, because, back in the day, those games where, you schedule like a Montana, a North Dakota State. But those teams, as we've seen previously, and as you
Yeah,
know, being from Sam, like these teams are always deep in the playoffs in the
yeah,
FCS
man.
championship. Montana, North Dakota State, Sam, those guys, like they're not pushovers anymore. They're legit
Nah,
contenders. So,
look, let me
I
let
mean,
me
you can
let me
see it
tell
as
you
an
where
upset, but
as a Sam Houston Bearcats fan, let me tell you when I knew that the time was coming when the FCS talent was going to catch the FBS. Um, well, no, I'm not even going to say that, but I knew that the FCS was going to be competitive, even when they got scheduled for those essential, blowout games by your Power Five programs. I remember Sam was scheduled to play A&M. I think it might have been the first game of the season. I can't remember, but we was hanging with them boys, and that was
yeah,
during the Johnny Manziel era. So that was hostile territory as it was, but they ended up,
right.
A&M ended up beating us. I was like 50 something to 28, but them boys were fighting. It was a dog fight out there. But to add on to your point, don't sleep on the FCS. Don't sleep on any of these HBCUs, and don't sleep on any of these teams that are in the FBS that are unranked. Because
Right.
as we saw just a few days ago, anybody can get it.
Anybody, any given Saturday. Yeah. And then
Any
to
given
finish out the
Sunday.
list, Louisiana, number 23, Louisiana lost to Texas. Texas looked pretty good in their showing, but we've seen previously where Texas looks good in a week 1 game
Oh.
and it falters down the end. No hate. I'm
this
just
man, this man went out of his way to bring up how deceiving and deceitful the TU organization has been in the past. So just let everybody know your allegiances, Deonte, while you have the mic and the
Big
floor.
12 all day.
Not only that, but what are your real
Baylor, that
allegiances?
is.
Oh yeah,
Baylor, excuse me.
okay.
Sick 'em.
This guy.
And then Monday night, Sunday, there was a
Mm-hmm.
great game on Notre Dame and Florida State. Dane, Florida State.
Woo!
Let me say this, and this also kind of leads with UCLA beating LSU. You know, UCLA, Florida State. Well, Nebraska's not there; they're nowhere near.
Mm-hmm.
But it's great to see like those historically great programs, like a Florida State, like a UCLA, put up
Yeah,
good, efforts in their matchups this past weekend. UCLA definitely with their
absolutely.
win. Florida State competed with Notre Dame, one of the top programs. Like when those teams are great, it's great for college football in general. Especially, last weekend we talked, or last podcast we talked about, or maybe it was 2 podcasts ago,
Mm-hmm.
about the legendary Bobby Bowden, and to see, I think a lot of his mystique was in that game on Sunday night, and those guys fought to the end. Also with Mackenzie Milton, the transfer from Central Florida, who,
UCF, right? Yeah,
yeah, from
UCF.
Central Florida. um Him coming into the game, like after all he went through at Central Florida,
I
for
was
those that don't know,
terrified. I
his
thought,
what was the
man,
injury?
he shredded his knee completely. Like the
Yeah,
knee, from what I remember, I think like it was either every bone or every ligament. It was completely blown out. We hear people when they're talking about sports injuries and stuff about, yeah, I blew out my knee back in high school. Like, no, he really blew out his knee. If you're
yeah.
squeamish, if you can't hold your food, I would not recommend YouTubing uh, that hit, because
Yeah,
that's a lot. But shout out to him, bro, like coming out there, because obviously had to make
right.
something shake because the offense was just stalling, the mistake after mistake. But
And they had
when
some
he
moments where the running game was, they'll have a like an 80-yard touchdown, then get shut down like 2 series later. And then I can't remember the other quarterback's name, but he'll come in and throw like an 80-yard bomb, and then they'll stall out. But when
it just wasn't
McKenzie was
consistent.
in, it was very consistent. Yes, when
Now we
McKenzie
had a
came
very
into the
short,
offense.
small sample, very very small
Yeah,
sample, but the number one priority for me when he got it in, because they made it not a big deal, because that was a huge thing, that him coming in basically the last time saw some real action was the way that it ended. But him coming in there, I was like, man, I really 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 hope everything is cool, because that line was sus
yeah.
all game. So
Yeah, which
yeah.
kind of makes you think like they said, and I don't even have the other quarterback's name in front of me, but for Milton not to have that QB1 position off the jump kind of makes me wonder, like, were they kind of hesitant because they thought the O line was not as competitive as we saw, like
Mm-hmm.
maybe in the first half. But like when he got in the game, the O line was like doing a good job. Like he barely got touched. He maybe got touched 1-2 times tops
Doom
in those
doom doom.
2 or 3 possessions he was in. But for the most part, they held up while he was in there. But yeah, like I mentioned, it's great to see those programs back to a competitive kind of nature. And then shout out to our previous guest, Dane. We had KJ on a few episodes ago. Our guy KJ, who
Yeah,
is the
man.
team physician at UTSA. They had a big win, upset
Wide receiver was
at
balling. I
Illinois.
don't remember dude's
Man,
name, but dude was balling. Like the route running, he had
yeah,
a nice little whip route. He ran like it was like 5 yard in, and he like whoop whipped that mug and
right,
went back to the outside. It was clean. But
yeah,
he's gonna be fun to watch. He's gonna be, and
right.
they put people on notice. Don't be sleeping on UTSA. Like don't
Oh
do
yeah.
do, do yeah, yeah. So
one of the top, major programs in Texas for sure with UTSA. Big win over Illinois at Illinois. And then our guy Craig, who we had on for an episode, our former teammate at Killeen High, he's now a GA at the University of Nevada. They had a big win at Cal. They have a quarterback, Dane Carson Strong, I believe his name is like one of the up and coming quarterbacks in next year's class. And I watched him do like he reminds we throw out comparisons so much, but
Yes.
Look, you're waiting for my comparison. I can see it in your eyes.
What is...
I'm going to say the way he throws the ball down the field. The way he throws the ball down the field. No, he reminds me, and okay, I'm gonna say this comparison, and you're gonna be like, ew. But I'm gonna explain why. When he was coming out of college and the hype that he had, the way he can kind of sling the rock, he is a Derek Carr coming out of Fresno State. Because and the reason why I say Derek Carr is because gunslinger mentality, but at the same time he's coming out of Nevada, and Carr came out of Fresno State, so he's like going to be one of those slow riders unless you really pay attention to college football or like the scouts and those guys that actually pay attention, game by game basis of those quarterbacks. But he has that gunslinger mentality. So if you guys get the chance to check out Carson Strong, Nevada. He was a great find and great game that he played against Cal on Saturday. Any other things that kind of caught your eye, bro, watching college football, the official week 1?
Yeah. I was impressed by the game has changed. We know this. The game has changed, but these guys just keep getting bigger and they keep getting faster. Like there are some legit, like freakish guys out there that shouldn't be moving as fast as they're moving, stuff like that. But what was I going to say? This whole time I was trying to remember, the quarterback for Jordan Travis.
Thank you for Florida State.
I couldn't remember. I was like, the name was escaping. I was like, wait a minute. It's because he has 2 first names. And I just couldn't remember which order it was. It was Travis Jordan Travis. Like, I don't know. But yeah, Jordan Travis. So he was, I ain't gonna lie, he was stinking it up. But hopefully it's just growing pains and gets better. So yeah, I mean, my observations from this past week in terms of college football, like I was impressed, and I think I was more excited than usual, but I was genuinely impressed. There was a little bit of disappointment in there, especially when one of your teams that you picked to go in the top 4 didn't quite make the first week out. But at the same time, it's like it's still a long season.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
For those of you who are keeping score, I assumed that Clemson was going to be in my top 4 or make the playoff, but they ended up losing. Obviously, it was very. I love defensive games, but not like that. So it was cool. It was cool.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Dane, I can admit when I'm wrong, right? Do you agree?
Depends where you're going with this. I have my reservations. Hold up. Proceed, brother.
All right. Last podcast, I made some predictions in our college football top 4. And I also made a prediction about a Heisman candidate that I thought was going to win the Heisman. It goes by the name of Sam Howell, quarterback for UNC, North Carolina Tar Heels. And I will say that on Saturday, they played Thursday night. I believe they played on Thursday night. Sam Howell did nothing to back up my argument of him.
That boy is listening to the podcast. Like, I'm gonna show him. I'm gonna show him. So don't you rely on me.
Sam Howell did not have a great game. Virginia Tech was pretty much the old Virginia Tech defense back when Frank Beamer really had those guys going. Yeah, they were pretty much smothering the North Carolina offense all game long. And I saw a lot on Twitter about, even on the broadcast, even before the game was starting, it was Sam Howell, Heisman candidate. Sam Howell,
Oh, they
Heisman candidate.
gassing that boy head up.
Man, and it was like the announcer jinx / you can even put that the podcaster jinx where you're anointing a guy. And like you had mentioned, I'll go back and say it, it's still early, but it's not
It
off to a
is.
great
A lot
start
of
for the
football
Sam
left.
Howell campaign. Yeah. So
I don't know. You know who was on my radar? Obviously,
mhm.
watching the games, and I really didn't. I want to see everybody win. I want to see everybody shine, really. But it was hard to be like, you know what, that Bryce Young kid.
Man, he
And
makes it
it's
look
been a
so easy, bro.
when we talk about the intangibles and then the arm talent, the dude was chill. He was, to take a word out of my boy Stewie's playbook, the boy was cooler than the other side of the pillow.
Man,
Like, he was relaxed, nothing get to him. Obviously, you know, he had pressure here and there a few times, but for the most part, that line was protecting him, so he didn't have any worries. But there was a few times where he staring down the barrel of the shotgun was getting popped,
yeah.
but he's still delivering the ball,
It
standing
stood
in
in
the
there.
pocket.
Yeah.
But yeah, he looks scary. That's that dude's first game as a starter, bro.
Right.
Against the top 50, was it 15? I think they're 15th, if I'm not mistaken. Let me say top 25 just to be safe. Versus the top 25 Miami. And we know they're not the Miami of old, but still, you got
Yeah.
to respect the opponents that you play, especially if they're ranked. But he
So
balling.
can we can call I don't think I've seen this, but we've talked about it, but we haven't necessarily given them this name. But is Alabama QBU?
I
Like,
mean,
got
they
Jalen.
could be.
They got 3 starters starting week 1 with Jalen Hurts, Mac Jones, and Tua.
Who? Mac Jones?
So,
I don't know, man. Like, you'd be kind of hard pressed to
or
say
do
that.
or do we need to wait
I think you
till
got to
we
give
see
it.
how they
I
play?
think you got to give it a little
Yeah.
bit more time. I think you might have to give it a
Okay.
little bit more time. Even like 2 or 3 more quarterbacks. So like maybe 10 or 15 years, you might be say, okay, we can see that they've consistently put out so many, quarterback to play in college football. To play quarterback at the college level is amazing. Then to consistently put out professionals is another thing. To put out starters is even a more better thing. So I said all that to say this: there are a number of colleges, OU being one of them, that consistently puts out pretty decent quarterbacks. So I don't know. I'd hold the phone and I'd wait, but it's a fun discussion. It's a fun argument because
Yeah.
there are so many of these programs that have a consistency or have a knack for just producing and developing talent in particular positions. So I
Yeah.
think Bama could be there one year. I don't know if it's this year, but or the next year, but I think Bama could be in the talks for being QBU.
Yeah.
We'll see how it plays out.
It's so funny. We talked about Bryce Young, and the last time we had mentioned him on this podcast was when he struck a bunch of the NIL deals before he had even took a snap. And I was like, oh, okay, you might be a real deal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
But I don't know. Did you see that he has a podcast now under Colin Cowherd's podcast network?
No
He
way.
Colin Cowherd just announced it today. Yeah, the volume.
Wow.
His podcast, the Bryce Young podcast, and he's going to talk about. I think it's going to be weekly. Like the
Okay.
breakdowns of the games and preparation and things of that nature. So I'm definitely going to check out what he has to say.
So,
And they have, I don't know if you know, they have the Inside the Garage podcast with 4 Notre Dame players too. I don't know if you saw that.
I heard about.
Which
No, I
one?
heard about that.
One is KywIlliams, who is a Dane ball hawk, the safety from Notre Dame that held those 2 crazy picks. He is one of the
Yeah,
hosts
man.
of the Inside the Garage podcast. But yeah, man, I cut you off. I
Kyle,
thought you were about to say something.
no, you good, you good. Kyle Hamilton, but I ain't gonna check you on that. I ain't gonna
Who
check
did I
you on that.
say? What did I say?
Kyle Williams.
Kyle Hamilton. Thank you, Kyle Hamilton.
No, you
Kyle
good, man.
Hamilton.
You good, man. You
Ball
good. You
hawk,
gotta
top
put.
5 pick, right?
I don't know if anybody's gonna take a safety that high. He
Checking in
definitely
with
has the
General
traits.
Homeboy.
In my honest opinion, I gotta think in terms of what the Cowboys wouldn't do, because it's not something they would do. Not to say my team is going to finish, in 5th place or the 5th worst team in the league, but I always have to think really deep, pause, and understand not only one positional value, but not overrate a player just because I like him. And I loved the guy last year because of his talent, but seeing some of the experts that do this for a living say that he's their fifth overall player on the draft board is amazing. But at the same time, it's like thinking about it historically, when's the last time we've seen a guy draft a safety, which a position that many people or many teams undervalue or don't value, Dallas Cowboys. When's the last time we've seen a safety drafted that high in the top 10 and, it pan out? Second contract and, consistent and a franchise guy. Not saying I'm hating, but I'd love to see it because the game needs a beast in your interior defensive line. You need a coverage linebacker, and you need at least two guys that are solid in your secondary. At least two, minimum two. If you go back and look at every every winning team in the Super Bowl history, you'll find a solid defensive lineman, most likely an interior guy, a great linebacker, at least one coverage guy, and then three.
Mm-hmm.
The third thing, or 1, 2, 3. Yeah, the third thing would be two great guys in the secondary. So I don't know. I'd hope, much like the running back position, I hope that the safety position would come back into prominence because those guys essentially they clean up a lot of the mess that it gets past a lot of the guys in the front. So we'll
Yeah,
see. I'm not going to put my hope in him getting drafted in top 5 because I just can't see the NFL, any of these guys, using
making that kind of
their
impact.
brains exactly. So
Yeah.
he is a talent though, top 5 talent, but we'll see.
Speaking of which, let me get your drop in here, bro.
It's time for General Homeboy.
General Homeboy and Dane has donned me player personnel. And so in
Shout out
this
to
segment, shout out to Keith. Okay. Following up on something we had mentioned before, Dane, with, in back to episode 44, some guys to watch for the upcoming season. You had Kyle Hamilton on that list, which you just mentioned. So you already broke him down. Another guy you had was your boy from Ohio State, Garrett Wilson.
Let's just pause right there. Just let that silence breathe.
Garrett Wilson.
No, you got it right. I'm just like, let that silence breathe because. Okay, but my bad. Go ahead. You say the rest of the names on the list before I start getting all excited.
Yeah, so the guys that I had, Justin Ross and Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels from Arizona State, Justin Ross from Clemson. Of course, we mentioned how Clemson, the Georgia defense is probably, they have a lot of seniors on that Georgia defense, probably the best defense we'll see in the, NCAA this year, aside from maybe Bama. There's a bunch of defenses, but I think what Clemson faced on Saturday, they probably won't face all year. That being said, Justin Ross was non-existent. They could not protect DJ back there.
It ain't all his fault, though. It ain't all Ross's fault.
Exactly.
Nobody look at the box score, look at the stat sheet and say, oh, man, he's horrible receiver. Like, he didn't do it. No. Watch the tape.
Quarterback
look at the man
didn't
getting off
have
the
any
line.
time back there.
Look at the quarterback running for his life.
Right.
It's still the first week. It's still the first
it all falls
portion
back
of
to
the
that.
season. So he's got a lot of learning to do, a lot of football left. So we get to see this man develop in our very own eyes. Which, you know what? The last time he started was versus Notre Dame, too.
Oh, yeah, in the playoffs.
Which is crazy. Yeah. We were just talking about Notre Dame. The last time he started was versus, because when Trevor Lawrence got the vid or whatever, and then he had to start and ended up losing to Notre Dame. And, just the connections between your list and my list is unparalleled.
Right.
Take it away.
And then my other guy, Jaden Daniels, Arizona State, they pretty much handled Southern Utah 41-14. Kind of pedestrian numbers, but they're going against Southern Utah. He probably didn't play much of the game. 10 for 12, 132, no touchdowns, no picks.
So we'll
keep
his feet wet.
Closer eye.
He dipped his toes in the pool and was like, you know what, I'm good. Coach said that's all we needed to see. So it's one of them tune-up games, unfortunately.
Yeah, man. So Dane, previously after, a couple of episodes, we talked about the expansion and the conference realignment. And since our last episode, I know one, and a lot of people thought the Big 12 was dead. But
Man.
right now, as we're speaking, things are changing very rapidly.
Mm-hmm.
There's reports that the Big 12 has eyed 4 teams to come into their
Woo.
conference: Cincinnati, BYU, Houston, and Central Florida. And since we started recording today, it's been reported that Central Florida and Cincy have applied to
Correction.
or
That's the
for
national champion, Central Florida.
national champ. If you guys don't know about that, look it up. Central Florida claim. What was that? 2 years ago? 3 years ago?
Yes, at least within the last 3 years.
3 years. They
That's
went
all that
undefeated that
matters.
1 year and got left out the playoff, so they claimed themselves national champs. But
Yeah,
Central Florida, Sin City have applied for Big 12 membership. Houston is expected to soon, and BYU as well. Kind of first thoughts about that, Dane, about the 4 conference members potentially being added.
So for one, I was excited in terms of U of H getting back to where it used to be. If you're a young cat, or you just, I don't know, just didn't get into sports until recently, U of H used to have some ballers. Like U of H they were doing the damn thing back in the day. So to see them, to see my Cougar fans, to come back into the limelight, it'd be kind of huge. But for the state of Texas, at least for me, it's a pretty good thing, and finally people putting respect back on their name, because there's a lot of talent out of these institutions here in the state of Texas. But most
Yeah.
importantly, Houston does a really good job of recruiting. And you'll see that if you haven't seen that already. I mean, there's been tons of players drafted out of U of H in the past few years. So to see them get to come back or get to go back into prominence is a pretty cool thing. Even if it doesn't happen, it's just the idea of them being super
Yeah.
relevant again. So, what about you? What were your first thoughts?
Man, my first thoughts, I know we had mentioned like the alliance, our last episode with the
Yeah.
Pac-12, Big Ten, ACC. The thing I'm a Baylor grad, and so the first thing I'm thinking of is how we could potentially not be in a part. Well, personally, I was scared that Baylor was going to get left out as far as not being in a Power 5 conference, and at least for the time being, with this agreement with these schools coming in, it's not going to be up there with the SEC, the Big Ten, you know what I'm saying? But we're still above those group of 5.
Still a reputable
down there.
conference. Don't get it twisted. It's still a reputable conference. So all you casuals out there, dissing anybody that isn't in a SEC or anything like that, and you need to check yourself, because the South got something to say.
Yeah. South got something to say. I still expect a lot of more, movement as far as, the musical chairs of conference realignment and stuff. And, we still got Texas and Oklahoma still in the Big 12. So now the question is, with these 4 schools coming in, when and how will this affect when Oklahoma and Texas eventually go to the SEC? So that's some, things to keep an eye on. Definitely happy that the Big 12 seems to have survived again another round of realignment where it seemed like they were going to get the deuces. Deuces. As we mentioned at the beginning of the show, you're listening on Thursday, which means tonight is Cowboys versus Bucks. Dane's repping CeeDee Lamb.
I mean, essentially, it is a Dez jersey. It's an 88. Dez, you always have a special place in my heart. He's 88. 88 for life.
Dan, you know what we should tell the listeners? The Broncos play the Cowboys this year, November 7th.
No, wrong. The Cowboys play the Broncos.
Okay, anyway. The Broncos and the Cowboys are going to play in Dallas. Dane and I are going. It'll be Dane's first game in the new state. Is it your first Cowboy game in person?
This is my first professional game, period.
First? Wow. So I've been
in that stadium 4 different times, all for high school championship games. I've never been for like a professional game. This will be my first.
So
I've never been.
Clap it up for Dane.
Look, so if you really want to thank somebody or put the blame on somebody, you could thank egghead number 1 here, Deonte, and egghead number 2, my little brother JB3, because they're the ones that peer pressure me into.
We had to do it, bro. Broncos, Cowboys. We gotta. Don't we have a bet?
I can watch the Denver Broncos get their asses kicked on TV from the comfort of my own home, less than 20 miles away from the stadium.
Y'all heard that, right?
So,
We got bragging rights on the line,
yeah,
but
we
I think
we got more than bragging rights on the line, brother.
Yeah, I don't even remember what we bet. What did we bet?
A jersey. We bet one of these. In fact, your boy is so confident. I have 2 bets on the line. One with this guy here, Deonte. The other one, my little brother,
who's a Broncos fan,
who was also a hopeless Broncos fan. But he lost the bet last year. The bet that we had last year was which receiver would do better, CeeDee Lamb or Jerry Jeudy. And of course, CeeDee Lamb had the better year, even though he is playing with 4 different quarterbacks. Anyways, the bet this year that I have my brother is that who's going to be better, who's going to finish in the, I believe either who's going to be better or who's going to finish higher in the defensive rookie race. Would it be one Michael Parsons
or Patrick Surtain?
Okay. So, and here's the thing. I absolutely love Patrick Surtain. Like, that's why I wanted the Cowboys to pick. And I absolutely love Jerry Jeudy.
You sent a hate text to me right when we drafted Surtain.
Yeah, I was pissed. I was pissed. Because, I was like, we got to try out freaking Anthony Brown out there to try to defend Mike Evans. Like, come on, bro. Like,
poor Anthony Brown, man.
Yeah, bro. So, but I love Patrick Surtain. Like, his tape was awesome. He has obviously NFL bloodlines, and he was just a certified dog. So, y'all got a good one, man. Hopefully, whenever his rookie deal is up, y'all drop the ball on that. He can fly his way over to Dallas, sign that contract in Frisco.
Future Champ Bailey, bro. He gonna hold it down with the franchise for a minute. But what I was gonna mention, Dane and I are gonna have to do something really cool for the pod. Maybe go on Instagram Live on the Duo SNS podcast. Something cool, man. We gotta think of something cool to do for the people that listen and tune in. But yeah, season preview. We'll just do. Last time we did division winners and playoff teams. Let's just do playoff teams, bro. In your AFC, NFC, and then we'll just go Super Bowl.
That's tough. Okay.
I know I kind of threw that on you.
Yeah, you did, but it's all good. We're professionals. This is what we do. Okay. So we got one extra playoff spot, right?
Yes.
Okay.
7.
So 7 spots.
Look, while you looking, I'm pulling up the standings.
Oh no, I'm thinking off the top of my head. Like I'm not even gonna use the interwebs. I'm just gonna go straight off the top of the dome. Pause.
My man.
Okay.
You don't have to give me a record. You could just say who your playoff teams are.
For sure. In no particular order, AFC, my top 7 who will make the playoffs. Going with the Kansas City Chiefs. I got the Cleveland Browns, the Buffalo Bills, the Baltimore Ravens, the Chargers. You
need an AFC South team out of the Titans, Colts, Jags.
And here's Texans. The thing. The Titans and the Colts, they have an amazing defense. You know what? Colts and Titans. Bam. So, I got both of those guys. Colts, Titans. Okay.
That's 7 right there on the AFC. Yeah, so you got your AFC.
So, NFC, I'm going to go with, obviously, the Tampa Bay Bucks. I'm going to go... this one's tougher than the AFC. I'm going to go with the Seahawks as number 2. Number 3, I'm going to throw the Cards in there.
So you got 3 teams out of the NFC West. Oh, I'm sorry. I messed you up.
I was like, wait a minute. Wait.
South,
when did they realign? Yeah.
My bad.
No, you good. Let's go with, I'm trying to avoid the NFC East into the last one. So I'm trying to.
So you got NFC North.
Let's go with the Packers. 3
more teams to pick.
Let's go with the Vikings. And that leaves me 2 spots. So let's go.
And you still need to pick an NFC East.
Yeah, I'm going to say that one for last. No, not the Falcons. That's God, no. That's not
happening. The Niners?
Nah, that's too many.
Rams.
Let's go with the Panthers. I'm gonna get the Panthers coming out of their pause. And my last spot. I'm going with the Jinx. Let's have a repeat. Let's go repeating division champion with the Washington football team, which has not
So y'all
happened
think your
since
Cowboys gonna make
2004.
it?
Oh no. This is not the game we're playing here. The game here is to state the unobvious answer. That way, the obvious possibly happens. See, my brothers that have
y'all hear Dane's logic.
see my brothers out there with the tinfoil do rags. They understand where I'm coming from because obviously if I say the Cowboys are going to make it, the Cowboys are not going to make it. So I'm going to go with the consecutive division or NFC East division champs.
The Washington,
which hasn't been, we haven't had a repeat champion since
like in 8 years. Yeah,
it's just, and people say, oh, it's just a very competitive division. Like, no, it's not. This is probably one of the worst divisions in football. Please, Cowboy fans, Washington football fans, Giant fans,
9 wins, you good.
Yeah, like stop it. Stop with the delusions. We are not a competitive division. It just so happens that we suck so bad equally that no one's been able to muster up the strength to do it 2 years in a row. So sorry to burst your bubble, but that's just the way it is. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna go with. What about you, Deonte? What you got for me, man? Go ahead. Hit me with the facts.
I got the cheat sheet. I just got the teams in front of me so I won't forget. AFC.
No top of the dome?
No.
You run a sports podcast, man?
Just for time
hey,
purposes.
Deonte, you should be ashamed.
just for time purposes. Okay, I got Buffalo.
Okay, that's one.
Cleveland, Baltimore,
copycat.
Tennessee,
copycat.
Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos.
All right, so one of those things does not belong, but we'll talk about that later. All right,
Broncos belong. NFC, we're gonna go Cowboys.
This mother.
Packers, Bucks, Rams.
Oh, I can't.
Seahawks.
Can you do that? I can't do I can do this, but I can't do I can't make this finger stay like that and this one bend. I'm not trying to flick nobody off. I'm just counting. All right.
And then I need how many more? 2?
Yeah. Wait. Yeah.
I said Rams, Seahawks.
Mm-hmm.
I said Bucks.
Mm-hmm. You said Cowboys.
I said Cowboys. And I said Packers. So that's 5.
That's 5. So 2 more.
Give me
pause.
The Niners.
Okay.
And the Vikings.
Oh, okay.
So I'm gonna have to come back and listen to the pod so I can write it down later.
I got you.
But
we'll let the listeners hold us accountable. Chalking up these L's. Let's revisit this. What is it? Week 9 or 8? Right?
Halfway through.
Partially halfway through since we have. Well, no, there's 18 weeks.
Go week 10 or something.
Okay, bet.
And then Super Bowl. I'm gonna go Chiefs.
Okay.
I'm not going Bucks. Going Chiefs Rams, bro.
Ew.
Chiefs Rams.
Trusting Matt Stafford then, huh? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah. We're going with Stafford with a defense over there. Chiefs Rams, and I'm gonna give it to the Rams.
Okay. Pause. I'm going to go what I wanted to happen last year. I wanted the Packers and the Chiefs. I'm going to go with that this year. Packers and Chiefs.
Aaron Rodgers' last hurrah, Super Bowl?
The last dance. The last dance.
Oh, you mentioned that on a previous podcast, too.
I did.
But there you have it. Dane has Chiefs Packers. I have Chiefs Rams. So we'll see how we do. Now it's time for...
What's that sound? No! This guy.
Nerd News segment sponsored by our guy. Thank you, Keith. So this is going to be a spoiler-free quick thoughts because Dane has not watched Shang-Chi yet. I have watched Shang-Chi, and
it's on the list of things to do, man.
Yeah. First of all, before I talk a little bit about the movie,
let me ask you a question before you get started. where would you rank this in terms of it being an origin story? Like, I mean, obviously putting you on the spot here, but if you had to
Yes,
honestly say like my list of top 3 origin stories or my list of
it's
top
top.
5s.
It's top 3.
Okay, good deal.
It's top
I've heard.
3, and
Okay,
I will say it's top 3. Before I get to that,
okay.
it was a lot riding on this movie. I think one of the Marvel executives has said it's an experiment because of what they're basing it off of as far as numbers. Because this is like the first big MCU movie since the pandemic that's not going to a streaming platform. Like
Mm-hmm.
like with Black Widow, we had a choice of a theater or on Disney Plus. Well, this is the first movie that came out exclusively in theaters, so a lot was riding on the numbers based on if other projects were going to get pushed back.
Right.
And Shang-Chi broke a lot of records as far as Labor Day weekend numbers. One of the
Mm-hmm.
top movies that since the pandemic has been affecting movie theaters. So it's done really well, and rightfully so, because Dane, I think it's a top 3 MCU origin story,
Okay.
and I won't get into spoilers or not,
The
but
deets.
man, just how the MCU continues, and I think I mentioned this before, how the MCU continues to bring in characters that we
Mm-hmm.
don't know much about unless you are a diehard comic book fan that knows about these characters since you've
Nerd.
been born. Basically a nerd.
All
This is
right.
our nerd segment. So we're nerds too. But if you haven't been like in comic books since forever, then you're not really familiar with a Shang-Chi or the Guardians of the Galaxy. These characters that we don't really or aren't really familiar with. And
Mm-hmm.
bringing in a character like Shang-Chi, new environments. I will say this, and I'm not really, Dane, an anime kind of guy, and I feel like the way they brought in like the fantasy is a spectacular fantasy movie as far as the elements. And I'm trying to
Mm-hmm.
be spoiler free here. The elements and stuff that
I
they
appreciate your consideration.
Yes, the elements and stuff that they added into it, and people that have seen the movie can kind of back me up on this. But overall, bro, it's top 3. I put it behind, as far as origin story, I
Mm-hmm.
put it behind Black Panther because because Black Panther is
Iconic.
Black Panther. I'm being biased as far as how much we love Chadwick and what
Mm-hmm.
it was to see us being Black people and seeing a Black guy on screen as a superhero. I mean, we've seen Blade before, but we were little, when Blade came out. To see
Right.
it as an adult, to see, the impact that it had on the culture, I feel like Black Panther will always be one for me. But Shang-Chi is like right there, right behind Black Panther to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then overall, the performances from all the characters were great. It was a lot of great surprises in the movie that, the trailer tries to mislead you on. But overall, man, I have great thoughts on Shang-Chi. I'll probably give it an 8 out of 10. And I'm sure Dane will probably get to watch it at some point, probably before the next episode. But I think you would really enjoy it, Dane.
I know I'm going to enjoy it. I already
Yeah,
know I am.
it's like, and we already knew it was like the MCU, like Bruce Lee, and
Yeah.
it's exactly that. It's exactly the fight scenes, incredible. The hand-to-hand combat, incredible. Like the scene that you see in the trailer on the bus, that's just partial of what the entire scene was. And I won't go
That's
into
only
details.
part of the ass kicking.
Yeah,
it's not the full
seriously,
ass
like,
kicking, just a crumb.
Yeah, man. But yeah, definitely check out Shang-Chi if you haven't already. And definitely the post-credit scenes, as always. Make sure you stay for the post-credit scenes
How
because
many?
there's
1 or 2?
always 2 post-credit scenes, 1 mid-credit, 1 right after. One, I mean, they're both important. They're both for the future, so I'll just leave it at that. But overall, Shang-Chi was great, amazing. I rated my second favorite MCU origin story behind Black Panther.
Okay.
Yeah,
I can get down with
does
that.
Black Panther counts as an origin story, even though we had saw him in Civil War, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. But there are my thoughts on that. Dane will check it out soon, and I'm definitely gonna ask him on next episode.
I will give you all my thoughts whenever I watch this movie.
All the thoughts. But did you happen to catch What If, the new episode 5?
I also did not watch that. So I do a not playing. I did watch it.
Oh, okay.
I watched it.
So we have no content. What you think, bro?
No, I watched it. Man, I had no idea how they were going to do it. I know that I'm not familiar with the
Spoiler
zombie
alert.
theme. Oh yeah, spoiler alert! Hella spoiler alert.
Spoiler.
I'm not at all familiar about the comic book runs that they've had with the feature or the
Right,
plot
me
device
either.
of zombies. So I didn't know how they were going to do it, how these were going to come about, and it's impressive to me just the plot armor in some of this stuff. Like so many people, obviously, spoil it. So many people died that I just did not anticipate. Well, I can't
Yeah.
say dying because I don't know if they're actually dead, but some people they got bit and turned into zombies. Like I had no idea. I was like, "There's no way they're gonna make that happen." And then lo and behold, the biggest disappointment to me of that episode was Vision.
Yeah.
You waste of vibranium.
Yeah, Vision was on some
Vision is
relationship type for my girl.
He was on some psycho stuff like yeah, he was out of line, way out of pocket. They should have turned his ass into a Sprite can or something because he was doing the most.
Right. I think for sure it reminded me of we've seen a lot of zombie shows and movies. One thing that comes to mind was The Walking Dead for me. There's a bunch of zombie movies I can think of, but I guess it's because these guys are superheroes, obviously, but these were some strong ass zombies, bro. Like
straight up,
it was like
they smart but dumb. Cause how the hell you know how to operate that wingsuit, Falcon Zombie? Like how the hell does that work? Like, come on, bro. Like,
yeah,
are y'all stupid or are y'all smart? Like, what is the
right? Because when technically, from what we've seen from previous zombie stuff, like their brain is like shut down, right? It's just like they're literally dead.
It's smooth. It's smoothed
right.
over.
Right. So it's like the living dead. So like you had mentioned, like Falcon flying, Cap using the shield, Iron Man blasting, like
Wanda.
it was very right. So those kind
know.
of elements, I guess it's just like an MCU thing. And I don't know if it goes back to how it was in the comics for the zombie run. And then another thing that I thought about, with a lot of the episodes, like when we're watching this series, we always are brought back to the question is, how is it connected or if it connects? And with this particular episode, I don't know how or if it will. And like, we still don't have a lot of answers for this episode and other episodes where they will connect to the bigger MCU. I think it's just another one of those snapshots of its own reality pocket of, a timeline or a scenario where it went bad.
So one of the things that I caught on to, or hopefully I'm not making this up in my head, when they first pulled up to New York in that little bus or whatever it was that the same spot from I Am Legend where he had got hung up by the little zombie undead dude?
I know what you're talking about.
Like when they first pulled up, I took a picture of it when I was watching it, obviously, but I want to say that might have been the same spot that they had visited during I Am Legend. I thought that was cool because, of course, I Am Legend has, I don't think they were called zombies in I Am Legend. They're like called undeads or something like that. But essentially, you get bit by, or most people, when they got bit by those things, they turned into that thing, except for people who had a particular gene.
Yeah.
There was something biologically going on with their body that prevented them from turning like everybody else. So that was kind of cool. If that is the case, I'm not sure if it is. I'd have to revisit it. If anybody else knows what I'm talking about, or I'm just blabbering at this point, I apologize. But the whole Scott thing, the Scott Lang thing, that's kind of weird, creeping me out. Like I was kind of like, there's no place for this, but at the same time, this is so Paul Rudd. Like,
right?
I can imagine him like in the writer's room, like, guys, it'd be really awesome if I was just a head.
Just a head.
Like
and then at the end you can give me a cape.
Yeah. And I can be a head with a cape.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah. So
it's funny for back to back episodes, or excuse me, well, episodes 3 and 5 deal with the Ant-Man family. 3 was Janet Van Dyne or Hope Van Dyne affecting that timeline. this one as well with Janet. When Hank Pym went to go get Janet in Ant-Man 2, how that affected it. Yeah, man, it's. I mean, I enjoyed the episode, and like we always say, it's interesting to see a different pocket, a different reality universe of what could have been, and so I'm still waiting for that tie-in of how, because I don't think Marvel would just throw this series in there without a connection to what we already seeing in the MCU. I'm waiting for that connective tissue. I think we got a little bit of it last episode with Doctor Strange and maybe a connection to Spider-Man No Way Home, but I'll wait and see on that. But
okay. Well, the jury is still out on that one. I myself, being the conspirator that I am, or conspiracy nut that I am in terms of the MCU, I think it's all this stuff we're going to see on a live action someplace, some shape, or at least one of these timelines we're going to see connected to the live action world. There's no way that you put in all this work for it to just to be like, all right, it's canon, but it's not canon, so enjoy. So I think one of these timelines is going to be fleshed out, hopefully. But yeah, so
yeah.
Do you think we're going to get another episode where it connects to one of the previous episodes, or no? You think we're going to get?
I think we are, because I'm going off of trailer footage, and we know how the MCU feels about trailer footage. But there's a clip where Star-Lord T'Challa, Gamora, Captain Carter are all in New York. That same shot that we see from the first Avengers, where they're all doing the little spinny when they do their first little meetup. That
Hero
shot
lineup.
is right. That shot is in the trailer, so I think we're gonna get a team up at some point, because I think it's gonna go back to the timeline where there's no Avengers, where the Avengers died, and Nick Fury is gonna go get the Guardians of the Multiverse. The Star-Lord. I think that's our connective tissue as far as the series goes, but I don't know how that's going to connect to the bigger MCU.
Muy interesante. I don't know, but I guess only time will tell, right?
Yeah. We shall see. But as we close on episode 60 of the Duo Sports and Stuff podcast, we like to give our respects to the great MichaelKWilliams, who passed away this week. If you watch The Wire, this guy's performance, and he was in a lot of other great shows where his character took over the screen. MichaelKWilliams, he was Omar in The Wire, if you didn't know. And Dane, you put me on The Wire. Iconic performance, and iconic, even the man. And I hate this. There's always times after great people pass that we kind of look back and like, dang, man, this guy was really great from top to bottom. And a lot of clips came out of how he, like, him speaking in interviews and stuff like that. And
the Wendell Pierce stuff.
The Wendell Pierce one. And then I saw another one. I guess it was like a little, I don't know if it was a commercial or like a little spot of him playing, like it's him a couple times, but basically him saying he got out of, like, if he didn't get out of New Jersey, he'd be dead or in jail, and him basically saying to himself, yes, I made it. And then the other him said, are you sure? And from what the reports are saying of how he passed, and I'm not going to mention it here, but it's kind of tough to see that kind of video and things like that. So just rest in peace to MichaelKWilliams. Dane, any thoughts on what he brought to the screen?
We appreciate the talents that you shared with us. You're an extraordinary, beautiful human being, and never got the opportunity to meet you or anything like that. But from what your colleagues and even relatives say about you, was pretty impactful. Appreciate the work that you left behind, and man, rest easy, G. Rest easy, man.
Couldn't say it better. Go back and watch The Wire, y'all. I've seen a lot of people talk about they never watched The Wire. They thought it was boring. Man, watch The Wire.
One of the greatest first 2 or 3 episodes, you'll be fine. I'm not to say that those episodes are boring, but they drop you like right in the middle of what's going on, which is impressive in its own right. But it's an HBO flick. Like, It's an HBO show, so you can trust it. It's high quality.
Yeah.
But he also was in
what was his
Lovecraft
other
Country.
Chalky White? Chalky.
And he was in
Chalky.
what was it? Boardwalk? Is it Boardwalk Empire?
Yeah, Empire. Yep. Yeah, I never watched it, but he was in that too.
So yeah, I need to get on that. So
yeah,
I mean, very very iconic. One of the most iconic characters that we've seen. Period.
Yes.
The character he portrayed. So his art obviously will inspire plenty of people, and just it sucks, man. But at the same time, that's all part of life, man. Unfortunately.
Yeah. Unfortunately, man. Rest in peace to MichaelKWilliams. Yeah, go check out The Wire. Dan, you remember when you sent me The Wire?
Yeah.
All your,
look,
the
this
DVDs
how old.
back
Look,
in
we're
the
about
day?
to age ourselves real quick. So back, I watched The Wire. Obviously, I forgot. I got season 1 and season 2 for Christmas, if I'm not mistaken. But this is when I first got on it. My Uncle Brian, shout out to my Uncle Brian. He put me on The Wire when I was maybe in middle school, maybe high school. But I was like, I can't get into this. And then I finally picked it back up my freshman year high school, freshman year of college. And I was like, man, I gotta own all of these DVDs now. I bought the box set, I still got it. And I was like, man, Deonte, you gotta watch this show.
Yeah.
So this is how old we are.
I do not regret it.
I sent the DVDs because it was all 5 seasons. I sent all 5, the entire box set. I sent it to this dude in the mail, bro. Like that's how crazy it is. Like now it'd be synonymous to me. Like, hey man, here's my login information. Go ahead and check it out.
Yeah, exactly.
But we didn't have like back then. This is really
back in our
myself.
day.
Back in our day, Netflix wasn't streaming, okay?
Yeah.
It was straight DVDs. Like you went online, you selected how many DVDs you wanted, and they sent you the DVDs. Like that's how it worked. And then of course the streaming came along, and but
before Redbox too,
bruh, man. Shout out to Blockbuster one time, but yeah, man, that's how old we are, bro. Old and washed.
Yeah, man. Old and washed. Yeah, shout out to MichaelKWilliams, man. Episode 60 of the Duo Sports and Stuff podcast. We appreciate you tuning in. If you are still here listening to us as well on YouTube as well, don't forget to subscribe. Also on Apple, give us those 5 stars and a great rating. And you can catch out us on episode 61 of the Duo Sports and Stuff podcast. We are.
Peace.